In the thriving city of Austin, Texas, there lived a humble businessman named Ethan Carter. He was known for his honesty, hard work, and unwavering dedication to truth. Ethan had spent his life building a small but respectable business, never focusing on accumulating wealth, but instead prioritizing integrity and service to others. He had always believed that wealth was fleeting, but the values he lived by were priceless. Ethan's business wasn't glamorous, a modest retail shop that served the local community with fair prices and exceptional service. What set him apart wasn't his business acumen, though he certainly possessed it, but rather his reputation. In a world where cutting corners had become commonplace, Ethan stood as a beacon of integrity. His word was his bond, and his customers knew it. As the years passed, Ethan's health began to decline. His once robust frame grew frail, and the energy that had propelled him through decades of early mornings and late nights began to wane. Yet his spirit remained undiminished, his eyes still bright with wisdom and kindness. Ethan had only one child, a son named Aaron Carter, who was in his late 20s when the story begins. Aaron had watched his father tirelessly dedicate himself to his work and never stray from his core values. Growing up, Aaron was shaped by his father's wisdom, learning that honesty and hard work were the most important qualities in life. Unlike many of his peers who rebelled against their parents' teachings, Aaron had absorbed his father's lessons deeply. He understood that Ethan's principles weren't outdated relics, but timeless truths that had guided generations before them. Aaron had worked alongside his father since he was tall enough to see over the counter, learning not just the mechanics of running a business, but the art of building relationships based on trust. As Ethan's final days approached, he called his son to his bedside. The room was quiet, filled only with the soft sound of Ethan's labored breathing. Aaron sat beside him, holding his father's weathered hand, a hand that had worked tirelessly for decades without complaint. His voice calm but filled with love. Ethan said, "My son, I have no wealth to pass on to you, no property or land. But I give you my greatest gift, my blessing. I bless you with happiness and success in life. Whatever you touch will turn to gold." These weren't empty words spoken in delirium. They were the culmination of a lifetime of wisdom, distilled into a final gift from father to son. Ethan knew that material wealth could be lost in an instant, but the foundation of character he had helped his son build would sustain him through any challenge. Aaron, overwhelmed with emotion, knelt beside his father, touched his feet, and bowed his head. In this moment of profound connection, generations of wisdom passed between them, without a word being spoken. Ethan placed his hand gently on Aaron's head, offering his final blessing. Shortly after, Ethan passed away peacefully, leaving his son with nothing but his love and the promise of success through his blessings. The days following Ethan's death were a blur of grief and responsibility. The modest business had barely sustained them while Ethan was alive, and now with the medical bills and funeral expenses, there was nothing left. Aaron found himself at a crossroads, facing a future without his father's guidance and without financial security. With no wealth to fall back on, Aaron was left to take on the responsibilities of supporting his family. Undeterred, he started small. He loaded goods onto a humble cart and began selling them in local markets. Through tireless effort, dedication, and the values his father had instilled in him, Aaron's business slowly began to grow. The early days were challenging. Aaron would wake before dawn, carefully selecting his inventory and positioning his cart in the busiest section of the market. Some days he barely made enough to cover his costs, but he never compromised on quality or honesty, even when it would have been easy to do so. One particular incident cemented Aaron's reputation in the community. A wealthy customer had mistakenly overpaid him by a significant amount. Aaron could have easily kept the money. The customer would likely never have noticed. Instead, he closed his stall early and traveled across town to return the excess payment. The customer was so impressed by Aaron's integrity that he became not just a loyal patron, but an advocate, telling everyone he knew about the honest young merchant. With each passing year, Aaron's reputation for honesty and fair dealing spread. He earned the trust of his customers, and before long he was able to rent a small shop in the heart of Austin. His business continued to flourish as he grew into a respected and wealthy merchant. But despite his success, Aaron always attributed it to his father's blessing. The shop became a gathering place for the community. People came not just to purchase goods, but to seek Aaron's advice or simply enjoy the atmosphere of trust and warmth he had created. He hired employees who shared his values, creating opportunities for others to grow and thrive. Whenever anyone asked him about his rise to success, Aaron would humbly respond, "This is all because of my father's blessings." He lived a life of truth, and his blessings have guided me every step of the way. People began to refer to him as the man with a father's blessing, and he became a local symbol of humility and success. As his wealth grew, so did his generosity. Aaron established a foundation to help young entrepreneurs start their own businesses, providing not just financial support, but mentorship grounded in the principles his father had taught him. He never forgot his humble beginnings or the struggles he had faced. One day, Aaron found himself thinking about a new business venture. He wondered if his father's blessings would still protect him in a business where failure seemed inevitable. Intrigued, he shared this thought with a close friend. The friend, skeptical of Aaron's confidence, decided to challenge him. "If you truly believe your father's blessings are so powerful," the friend said, "then buy cloves from India and sell them in Zanzibar. Zanzibar is known for its cloves, and the prices are so low that no one will buy them from you." Aaron's friend wasn't being malicious. He genuinely believed that Aaron's success was due to his business acumen, rather than any mystical blessing. He thought this challenge would help Aaron see that his success was his own doing, not the result of his father's words. Aaron, ever curious, decided to test whether his father's blessings could help him succeed even in such a hopeless situation. He purchased a large quantity of cloves from India and set sail for Zanzibar. The journey was long and arduous, testing Aaron's resolve. There were storms that threatened to capsize the ship, delays at ports, and moments of doubt when Aaron questioned the wisdom of this venture. But throughout the journey, Aaron held firm to his belief in his father's blessing. He treated the ship's crew with respect and fairness, shared his provisions generously during times of scarcity, and maintained his integrity in all his dealings. These actions weren't calculated to gain favor, they were simply the manifestation of the values that had become the core of his being. When he arrived in Zanzibar, he found the Sultan of Zanzibar walking along the beach, surrounded by soldiers carrying large sieves instead of weapons. Curious, Aaron approached the Sultan and asked, "Your Majesty, why are your soldiers carrying such strange implements?" The Sultan, surprised by the directness of this foreign merchant, explained that he had lost a precious ring, one that was believed to have magical powers. The Sultan believed his entire kingdom's well-being was tied to this ring, and his soldiers were searching the beach for it. The Sultan then asked Aaron, "What goods have you brought this time?" Aaron smiled and replied, "Cloves, Your Majesty." The Sultan was astonished. "Cloves? But Zanzibar is the land of cloves. Who advised you to bring cloves here? A handful of cloves can be bought for only a single coin. Who will buy them from you? How will you profit?" The Sultan's reaction confirmed what Aaron's friend had warned him about. Zanzibar was indeed famous for its clove production, and bringing cloves to sell there seemed like financial suicide. But Aaron remained calm, his faith in his father's blessing unshaken. Aaron chuckled and responded, "I came here to test if my father's blessings would still work in a place like this. Before he passed, my father told me that even dust in my hands would turn into gold. And until now, everything I've touched has turned into success." The Sultan was intrigued by Aaron's confidence and the mention of his father's blessing. In a culture that deeply respected filial piety and the wisdom of elders, the concept of a father's blessing carrying such power resonated with him. Curious, the Sultan asked, "What do you mean by your father's blessings?" With a smile, Aaron bent down, scooped up a handful of sand, and said, "My father once told me that even dust in my hands would turn into gold." He opened his hand and let the sand slip through his fingers. To the astonishment of everyone present, a glittering ring appeared in his palm. It was the Sultan's lost ring. The moment seemed suspended in time. The Sultan's guards gasped, some falling to their knees in awe. The Sultan himself stood speechless, his eyes fixed on the ring that had mysteriously appeared in Aaron's hand. It wasn't just any ring. It was unmistakably the Sultan's lost treasure, with its distinctive design and the royal insignia clearly visible. The Sultan, overjoyed, exclaimed, "This is a miracle! Your father's blessings are truly extraordinary. Ask for anything you wish, and I will grant it." In this moment of triumph, Aaron could have asked for riches beyond imagination, for land, for power, but true to the values his father had instilled in him, his thoughts turned to the welfare of others rather than personal gain. Aaron, ever humble, replied, "I only wish for your people to live happily and for you to rule with wisdom and fairness." The Sultan was taken aback by Aaron's response. He had expected requests for gold, jewels, or special trading privileges. Instead, this foreign merchant had asked for blessings upon the Sultan's subjects and wisdom in his rule. It was a request that revealed the true character of the man standing before him. Impressed by Aaron's humility, the Sultan agreed to buy Aaron's entire stock of clothes at a price far higher than Aaron had ever expected. But more than that, he granted Aaron exclusive trading rights in his kingdom, ensuring that his business would flourish for years to come. The test had been successful not because of luck, but because of the unwavering faith in his father's blessings and the principles of truth and integrity that guided him. Aaron returned to Austin, not just with material wealth, but with a profound confirmation of the power of his father's blessing and the values he had lived by. News of Aaron's miraculous experience in Zanzibar spread throughout Austin and beyond. People marveled at the story, some skeptical, others inspired. But those who knew Aaron understood that the true miracle wasn't the discovery of the ring, it was the life of integrity that had preceded it. As years passed, Aaron's business empire grew, spanning continents and industries, but he never lost sight of the foundation upon which it was built, his father's blessing and the principles of honesty, hard work, and service to others. He became known not just for his wealth, but for his philanthropy, for creating businesses that treated employees fairly, and for mentoring young entrepreneurs in the values that had guided his own success. In his later years, as Aaron reflected on his journey, he realized that his father's blessing hadn't been a magical incantation that turned everything he touched to gold. Rather, it had been a profound expression of faith in the values they both held dear. The blessing had worked because Aaron had lived those values consistently, earning the trust and respect of everyone he encountered. Aaron's journey is a powerful reminder of the strength that comes from living a life of honesty, humility, and respect for the wisdom of those who came before us. His father's blessing wasn't just words. It was a guiding force that helped him overcome challenges and seize opportunities, no matter how daunting. The lesson of this story is simple yet profound. Success isn't just about material wealth or external achievements. It's about living with integrity, treating others with respect, and honoring the wisdom passed down through generations. A parent's blessing, their love, their wisdom, and their prayers is a treasure that can guide us through the darkest of times and lead us to a life filled with success and fulfillment. When we honor our parents and the values they've instilled in us, we create a foundation for success that goes beyond material wealth. We build a legacy of integrity that influences not just our own lives, but the lives of everyone we touch. In today's fast-paced world, where shortcuts to success are often glorified, integrity can seem like an outdated concept. Aaron's story reminds us that true success is built on timeless principles. Honesty, hard work, humility, and service to others aren't just moral ideals, they're practical strategies for building a life of meaning and achievement. The power of a blessing isn't in magical thinking or superstition. It's in the confidence and clarity of purpose that comes from knowing we're living in alignment with values greater than ourselves. It's in the trust we build when we consistently choose integrity over expediency. And it's in the peace that comes from knowing that whatever challenges we face them with the wisdom of generations supporting us. When you find yourself facing adversity or doubt, remember Aaron's story and the power of blessings that come from living a life of truth and humility, even in the most challenging of situations. The right values and a heartfelt blessing can turn the dust of life into pure gold. As we navigate our own journeys, may we all be blessed with the wisdom to recognize that our greatest inheritance isn't material wealth, but the values and blessings passed down to us. And may we, like Aaron, have the courage to live those values consistently, creating a legacy of integrity that will inspire generations to come. In the end, the true gold in Aaron's story wasn't found in his business success or in the Sultan's favor. It was in the life he lived, a life that honored his father's memory by embodying the principles they both held dear. And perhaps that's the most powerful blessing of all, the blessing of a life well lived, guided by truth, shaped by integrity, and dedicated to service.